Today I wanted to give you a little tour of our rose nursery and show you the progress on how the baby plants are doing, and also point out a couple of my favorite roses that we have growing here on the farm. So this first one is kind of unbelievable. This is a variety called Rosa, californica, Plena, and it is more of a wild rose. You can see it has that single beautiful kind of lavendery pink blossom. The flowers are not long lived. As soon as they are pollinated, they drop and then they start to form rose hips. But look at the size of this baby. It's like a small tree. And at the time that I planted it, I put a honeysuckle that my 90-year-old neighbor Louise gave me, that she's had growing at her house for the last probably 50 years. It smells so heavenly. I don't know the name of this variety, but I thought they would make the perfect companions. And you can see that the honeysuckle has pretty much completely swallowed the rose, and now they are like perfectly intertwined. And you've got the beautiful pink blossoms and the pink tips of the honeysuckle, and they flower at the same time and they smell heavenly. So I get to walk by this every day as I go into my little flower studio, and that's what it looks like. So this one, if you like the kind of wild roses, it's very easy to care for, very vigorous. Look at the trunk on this baby. So Chris had to ratchet strap it up because when it rained, now it's starting to tip over. So we're gonna have to deal with this. But for now, we're just enjoying the fragrance and the splendor. Okay, let me show you one other really rare rose. So this is, let's stop it, look at the ducks in the way. Because the ducks, Chris has trained them to go into their little duck house at night. Look at these guys. How stinking cute are those? So they just walk themselves up the ramp at night and they walk themselves down the ramp in the morning. So they're just hanging out, getting ready for the day. Okay, so this is a rose called Robbie Burns. And this is actually a David Austin variety from long, long ago. And it was one I don't know that was that popular, which I don't understand why. So you can see the flowers have that beautiful wildflower single quality. And I love how the little pollen, these little guys, they look like little shooting stars to me. And as the flowers, the petals, they're like not super long lasting. As they drop, they leave behind these little tiny hips. And if I were a rose, this is what I would want to be like. For some reason, I think this is the most beautiful rose, and it's supposed to get like this big. So one of the planting methods we're doing, we have roses growing in rows in the cutting garden. We have roses growing in grass along the hedges. Like, we're trying out a lot of different planting methods. And I think if we can keep them weeded and well watered, I think this is actually going to be a really nice situation. So you have a beautiful beech hedge behind it. We'll have this big giant rose in front of it. I've got a bunch of different roses down here and lilacs, and I think it's going to be beautiful. But if you can get your hands on Robbie Burns, it only blooms once. It's very hard to find. I found this from Heirloom Roses years ago. I asked them to custom propagate it, and I don't think their plants survived, so they don't have it anymore. But it is a total gem, and I think somebody should start propagating that. So that's my Robbie Burns pitch. And then we've got a bunch of Kathleen, which is a really beautiful hybrid musk. But you can see, again, we're planting it in that little, in the grass with compost, mulching it. And I think that method is going to work super well. Okay, so welcome to the private garden. Over here we've got dahlia seedlings. This is my dahlia seedling patch where I'm doing discovering new varieties. And then over here is where we have the rose nursery. So this little spot back here is where I'm keeping my most treasured little, not possessions, but little plant creatures. So this rose nursery holds a huge collection, and we have about 1,400 different pots in here. And variety wise, I bet we've got a little over 1,000. We have some of these are the varieties that we took cuttings from Anne's. A bunch of them are varieties that we adopted from Greg at Vintage Gardens down in California, because we've become rose curators. And then a bunch of them I just collected. So I've been really focusing on collecting and gathering rare heirloom vintage roses and really working on rose preservation. But I'm a beginner at this, and so I'm trying to learn about roses and the different classes, and there's just so much to understand and learn. So one of the ways I'm trying to have it make sense to my brain is what we've done is organized all of the roses by classes, because roses are organized into different classes. So we have the spinacissimas, the noisettes, the specie roses. And so what we've done is within each class of rose, then they're alphabetically organized. And the reason behind this is because I want to start to see if I can't find patterns. Okay, so if you come look at this, down here we have the moss roses, and moss roses are known for having their buds covered in this really fuzzy, it almost looks like moss, but they're tiny little thorns or hairs. And you can see all of the roses in this section have that kind of fuzzy bud quality, and they kind of smell, they have an interesting kind of almost like evergreen smell. And so what I'm doing is I want to start to see patterns, memorize the flowers, see the label, see the blooms, see the tag, see the blooms. Like, it's the way my brain works. So that's why we've organized it this way. So you can see that everything's organized by class. And then over here is the section where we have a bunch of ramblers. So it starts there, it continues on. These are all roses that came from Anne's that we knew the names of, that we took cuttings of. And then the mystery section starts here, goes to the end of the row, and all of these are mysteries. So all of these roses also came from Anne's, but we don't know what they are. So they're finally blooming, and we are going to take stems of them back to Anne's garden and see if we can't match them up with the original mother plant and try to identify them, because we don't want mysteries. But look at that color. So it's an exciting, fun project. It's like this giant, almost like memory game or puzzle. So you can see lots and lots of roses out here. And then one of the things we did, because I knew I wasn't ready to put all of these in the ground, we planted some of them in the ground, but I want to be very careful about it because it's a big commitment. We decided to plant them in pots that would hold them for at least a year. So you can see we've got, these are 3-gallon sized pots, and we planted all of the little baby plants in here. Then we gave them double labels. So we have the loop label that goes around the plant. Then we have the plastic stick label. So if we lost one, we have another. And then every single pot has its own little sprayer for irrigation. And so Chris and Francisco and Jakin spent many hours on this, and every single one of these pots has a little emitter in it so that they're getting water. So what we're wanting to do is stay super organized, get to know the plants, take really good care of the plants, and just baby them until we have the grand final plan of where they're all going to go and what is going to happen with all of these guys. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you what's going on. And then over on the blog today, I'm sharing a whole bunch of resources about roses, a story about, like, an update about our rose breeding project, a really great interview with Greg at who is the founder of Friends of Vintage Roses, or Vintage Gardens down in California, who we've adopted a lot of these from. We've got a really great catch-up interview with Teddy Mower, who is Anne's, if you're following the story of Anne, the 97-year-old rosarian, it is finding out, how's Anne's garden doing? What can we do to support it? Like, what has become of all of these things? You can read that interview there. I share my favorite sources for roses. There's just a ton of stuff. Plus, it also like a really great giveaway with winning one of a couple of $100 gift certificates to Rogue Valley, which is a really great source for heirloom and vintage roses. So lots of resources if you want to do a deep dive into roses and be inspired. And then if you haven't watched the first episode of Growing Floret yet, the whole thing is the story of how this became like it's like this 20-year long winding road, the most beautiful, inspiring story. It will make you cry. If it doesn't make you cry, something's wrong. Like, you'll bawl your eyes out. It's so beautiful. You've got to watch it. And yeah, we created all these great resources to go along with it. And here's the rose nursery in its current state.